What's good, YouTube? It's Zach, and today we got NFL Week 4 reactions. Hope everyone's having an amazing day so far. I'm deciding to record this on Monday because other than the Denver Broncos, the other three NFL teams will not impact the NFL playoffs whatsoever. Without further ado, let's get straight into it. Starting things off, we have Thursday Night Football between the Seattle Seahawks and the Arizona Cardinals. The Seahawks were trying to do their best Falcons impression and choke away the football game, even though Kyler Murray was really trying to ball out in that fourth quarter. Again, whenever I do these reaction videos, Thursday Night Football just seems like a long time ago. So let's see how they did. Right, this was the Marvin Harrison Jr. not being able to catch a football game in the first half, but was able to turn it up in the second half. Ended up doing some devil magic, 6 catches for 66 yards and a touchdown. Jackson Smith and Jigba, this 79 yards is very flawed because I think his last catch that ended up getting the Seahawks down the field and into field goal range, I'm pretty sure he only had like 40 some yards before that, so he ended up having a big reception to put the Seahawks in field goal range to win the football game. Kenneth Walker still continued to struggle in this one, but the Seattle Seahawks able to move into my top 10 in the power rankings and got the win. Next, we had the first game that happened in Ireland where my Minnesota Vikings fell short to the Pittsburgh Steelers. If you guys didn't watch the final drive of this game, please go back and watch it because there was some serious rough ball going on there. They were trying to get the Vikings down the field to potentially force the game to go into overtime. The Vikings were unable to do that. Carson Wentz had a pretty solid game outside of a couple bad interceptions. Ended up going 30 for 46 for 350 yards. And you got to remember, the Vikings star center was out of this game. Their right tackle got ruled out, and they lost both of their right guards. So the Vikings literally had junior varsity offensive linemen on that right side, and Wentz was still able to get something going. Jordan Mason, 16 carries for 57 yards. Maybe he did more through the air because I'm pretty sure Mason had a pretty solid game. But this is just the Kenneth Gainwell masterclass, as I had Kenneth Gainwell on my bench in fantasy. I ended up starting Kyron Williams over him. My bad. He ended up going 99 yards and 2 touchdowns. He also had a decent amount through the air, if I remember correctly. 6 catches for 35 in a full point PPR. That's 9.5 points right there. But Aaron Rodgers did just enough. Yeah, 18 to 22 for 200 yards. I don't think a quarterback threw an incompletion until some way in the second quarter, but Vikings, they fall to 2-2, and hopefully JJ McCarthy can come back so we can evaluate what we have in at quarterback. Up next, we had the Atlanta Falcons being able to sneak out a win over the Washington Commanders. The Falcons coming out of that 30-0 blowout against the Carolina Panthers. Even as long as they were able to be competitive in this game, they were get the okay by me, but they're actually able to beat the Commanders, who was led by Marcus Mariota, who had a pretty costly interception in this game. I played Bijan Robinson in fantasy. I had a long day. I'm pretty sure he had a 69-yard receiving touchdown as well, along with going 75 rushing yards and a score. Deebo Samuel was able to find his way into the end zone. Michael Penix, he did have a couple really bad throws, but still 20 of 26 for 313 yards and a couple of scores. That's pretty solid if you ask me, and he holds down the starting job for at least another week. It'll be interesting to see if they decide to put Kirk Cousins back in there at any point, but Penix holds on to his job for now, and the Commanders, they're just waiting for Jaden Daniels to come back. Had the New Jersey Giants stunning the Los Angeles Chargers of a score of 21-18. Omarion Hampton had a pretty big run in this game for the Chargers. Ended up going 12 carries for 128 yards and a score. But Jackson Dart, he did go 13 of 20 for 111 yards. But once we pull up these rushing numbers, he had a pretty productive day on the ground. 10 carries for 54 yards. Most of those 10 carries ended up going for first downs. Even Russell Wilson came in to complete a pass. I don't remember seeing that, but Cam Scattaboo, 25 of 79 with just pounding the rock. But this is going to be known as the day Giants fans' hopes and dreams were crushed, as Malik Neighbors tore his ACL in this game. That's why he only had 2 catches for 20 yards. But the Chargers also had their fair share of injuries. I think Joe Alt had some kind of ankle injury, so now they're down 2 of their best offensive tackles and some of the best offensive tackles in the NFL. But the Chargers became really one-dimensional. It wasn't Hampton running the ball. As you can see, Herbert, 41 attempts is pretty crazy for him. He had 2 really bad interceptions in this game. Chargers, they're going to be looking to bounce back. And Giants, you guys are 1 week away from being to the end of the regular season. I keep forgetting that the Tennessee Titans even exist, man. They ended up getting blown out by the Houston Texans 26-0. Cam Ward, a really ugly performance in this game, only ended up completing 10 passes for 108 yards. Tony Pollard had a decent game on the ground, going 14 for 64 yards. But CJ Stroud, welcome back to the NFL. You were severely missed. I said last week, the Texans lost this game. It'd be time to sell the team. They ended up blowing them out 26-0. It was only 6-0, I believe. Yeah, at the end of the third quarter. And the Titans, maybe you'll fire your head coach soon, and there's at least some hope in the future, maybe with Cam Ward, but who knows? It might be time to sell the team. Next, we had the Philadelphia Eagles taking on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, 31-25 final score. In the first half, it was a blowout. As you can see, 24-6 at the end of the first half. Jalen Hurts was looking pretty solid. Saquon Barkley is still continuing to struggle in this football game. Only 2.3 yards per carry. Ended up getting a rushing touchdown, so at least that's good for fantasy owners. I saw A.J. Dillon had like a 10-yard carry. This is a crazy stat. Braden Mann ended up going out the back of the end zone to end the football game on a 34-yard safety. But the Buccaneers, I'm happy what I saw from them. They're without Mike Evans for the first time, and I think Chris Godwin had a couple of good catches in this game, but you could definitely see that he was still a little bit rusty. Bucky Irving, 5 catches for 102 yards and a score. I think it was like a 68 or 72. I can't remember what the exact number was. A really big screen receiving touchdown. Egbuka had a bomb thrown to him as well. But Buccaneers, they're still going to be a really good football team and just going to be waiting for Mike Evans to come back. Eagles move to 4-0, and who knows? This might be the NFC Championship game right here. Up next, we had the New England Patriots absolutely belt to the Carolina Panthers. They ended up getting a garbage time touchdown to make the score a little bit more respectable. But the Patriots, they were just destroying them on all fronts, especially special teams. I'd like to shout out one person in specific here. I'm pretty sure it's Marcus Jones, the guy on the special teams. There he is right here. Punt returns. 3 returns for 167 yards, along with a punt return for a touchdown. But the Patriots still do not have a run game. Only 9 carries for 38 was their leading rusher. Stephon Diggs, welcome to the party. 6 catches for 101 yards. Hunter Henry with a couple good grabs here. But the Panthers, it might just be time to phone it in. Bryce Young, I don't think he's going to do that well anymore. My potential for him is pretty much out the window. Andy Dalton came in. Yes, it was garbage time. I don't know if the Patriots put in backup defenders or not, but Dalton went 5 of 6 for 58 and a score. Yeah, Bryce Young, I think might just need a new change of scenery. It's obvious that the Panthers don't really care about winning football games. Chuba Hubbard really struggled in this one. McMillan is a really good rookie wide receiver. Kind of reminds me of Malik Neighbors, where he's just in a really bad situation, but he's always going to get his. But Panthers, the season's almost over, and not really only after week 4, try to look into another sport. Sneaky close contest here between the New Orleans Saints and the Buffalo Bills. The Bills ended up getting it done late in the 4th quarter by winning by double digits, even though the Saints were hanging around for a little bit there. But again, the Saints, I don't know they're going to win a football game anytime soon. Josh Allen did his best game manager impression, went 16-22 for 209 yards and 2 scores. James Cook continuing to dominate the rushing attack for the Buffalo Bills, which makes me believe now that the Bills are a run-first team, which is not good because I have Josh Allen in fantasy. But Alvin Kamara went 15 for 70. Rashid Shaheed went 4 catches for 47 yards. I believe Chris Olave had a score. He did 3 catches for 20 yards and that touchdown. But the Saints, you're going to get the number 1 overall pick. I'd be really surprised now that the Giants won their first game. But yeah, Saints, tough scene. Up next, we had the Detroit Lions destroying the Cleveland Browns 34-10. I wanted to make this one the easy pick'em of the week. I think I ended up going with the Bills over the Saints, but I mean, the Lions proving that the Packers are fraudulent. We'll get to the Packers in a little bit if you don't know already what happened. And yes, last night, but I think Gibbs, and I don't remember if Montgomery had a score or not. Did Montgomery score? He did not. Oh my goodness. 9 carries for 12 yards. He was kind of boxed up there. But Jared Goff, 16-27, 168 yards and a pair of touchdowns to Amon St. Brown, 7 catches for 70 yards. Jameson Williams had a very painful drop in this game. I believe Khalif Raymond had a punt return for a touchdown. He sure did. 5 returns of 76 yards and a score. And the Browns, it's seriously time to look at one of your rookie quarterbacks. Joe Flacco, 16 of 34, 184 yards and a pair of interceptions. Dylan Gabriel looks like he tried to complete a pass and failed miserably at it. Quinshaw Jenkins had 21 carries for 82 yards. And Browns, this is terrible. They can't even say they have the best defense in the NFL anymore. They did not get a single sack the entire day on Jared Goff. So Cleveland, this is not for you. It might be time to sell the team. Up next, we had the Jacksonville Jaguars pulling off a win over the San Francisco 49ers. The Jaguars still doesn't look like they can pass the ball. Trevor Lawrence is struggling a lot, but their defense and special teams might be enough to carry the Jaguars to the top of the AFC South, especially with Indiana Jones falling to the Rams. We'll get to that in a minute. Yeah, Trevor Lawrence, 21 of 31, 174 yards and a score. But all these 10 incompletions, either were really bad throws or could have been picked off. I mean, that was kind of the same thing. Brian Thomas Jr. continuing to struggle as a wide receiver one, and Brock Purdy, couple really bad interceptions in this game. Christian McCaffrey couldn't get it going on the ground, but he's able to get it going through the air. 6 catches for 92 yards. 49ers, I still believe they can potentially get to the wild card. It's just going to come down to their team getting healthy, and hopefully when George Kittle eventually comes back. And I know Nick Bosa's out for the year with that torn ACL, but Jaguars, the future's looking bright. Up next, we had the Indianapolis Colts barely losing to the Los Angeles Rams. And I'm going to be the first to say it. The Colts should have won this football game. If you don't know, I can't even remember this guy's name. I'll know it when I see it. This guy right here, Adon Mitchell. I definitely started that first name. My apologies. 3 catches for 96 yards. You're like, how did he not score? Because this guy pulled a Jonathan Taylor, dropped the ball before the end zone, and just gave the ball back to the Rams, took 7 points off the board. And then late in the fourth quarter, Jonathan Taylor, he only had 17 carries for 76 yards. It would have been like 17 carries for 140 yards because Taylor had a 70-yard touchdown just for this goofball to be holding on the play. Ended up bringing it back 70 yards. You hate to see it. The Colts are still definitely a real football team. They're going to remain in the power rankings. They were a lot more competitive with the Rams than I thought. And Daniel Jones, he did have a couple bad interceptions, I will admit. But, I mean, still pretty decent completion percentage. He was hitting people all over the field, Josh Downs and Michael Pittman Jr. in particular. Matthew Stafford threw up 375 yards on this Colts defense for 3 scores. Kyren Williams underperformed because I have him in fantasy. I think he ended up fumbling in this game. It's a pretty insane play by the Colts defender. He's like in the backfield as soon as they snapped that ball. Blake Corum had a couple good first downs. Maybe he might get more involved. But this is just the true outgoing party for Puka Nacua. I was going to say, when I watched the highlights, I could have swore he won 17 last year, but he gave it to Devontae Adams. Just shows that he's a team player. And even with number 12, 13 receptions rather for 170 yards and a score. Devontae Adams had a score. Tute Atwell had an 88-yard strike late in the fourth quarter for a score. And the Rams, I had them being a sneaky Super Bowl contender. They moved to 3-1, and the Colts, you guys are still looking pretty solid. We had the Bears pulling out a sneaky win over the Las Vegas Raiders. It came down to, I believe, a blocked field goal at the end. Caleb Williams starting to come into his own. This completion percentage is still atrocious, but threw up 212 yards and a score. DeAndre Swift couldn't get much traction going on the ground game, but Roma Dunze, my wide receiver one now because Mike Evans and CeeDee Lamb are hurt. It's a feels bad situation on my fantasy team. Had 4 catches for 69, nice, and a score. But this is Geno Smith's second game this season with 3 interceptions. Ashton Janty had all 3 of the Raiders' touchdowns. He had 1 on the ground, went 21 carries for 138 yards. Brock Bowers was the leading receiver with 46 yards. That's all you got to say. I mean, Geno Smith only put up 117 yards. But yeah, see, Ashton Janty, both of his catches went for touchdowns. Oh, let me scroll down so you can actually see it. 2 catches for 17 yards in both scores. Raiders, not looking like a good football team. They might need to make a change at quarterback because Pete Carroll's not getting any younger. The Bears moved to 2-2 and now sit with the Vikings at the bottom of the NFC North. Sweet Mary and Joseph. We had the Kansas City Chiefs blowing out the Baltimore Ravens. And for those of you who don't know, Lamar Jackson, I believe, had some kind of hamstring injury and sat at the end of the third quarter. So we had a Cooper Rush sighting. I thought he was still in Dallas. That was not the case. Yeah, Cooper Rush went 9 of 13 for 52 yards. Lamar Jackson wasn't looking good before the injury and definitely wasn't looking good after. Derrick Henry, it might be the time for his downfall, man. Only 8 carries for 42 yards. Not like Derrick Henry. I mean, that's a good average right there, but why is he not getting like 10 plus carries? He usually gets about 20. Zay Flowers, leading receiver, 7 catches for 74 yards, but most of those were when Cooper Rush were in the game. And then Patrick Mahomes, I mean, you can't ever take down the Empire, man. Mahomes is doing his best Darth Vader impression here. 270 yards, 4 scores. The rushing game continues to suck in Kansas City. Gardner Minshew even got a couple carries. I'll get right because it was a blowout, so they took out Mahomes. Xavier Worthy, welcome back to the lineup. 5 catches for 83 yards. Didn't end up scoring one of those touchdowns. Those went to Hollywood Brown, Juju Smith-Schuster, Isaiah Pacheco, and Traquan Thornton. But the Chiefs, they're back. I had the Ravens winning this game, but the Chiefs might be making their way back to the top of the AFC West, especially with the Chargers being banged up. And the Ravens, hopefully they can get to a softer part of their schedule, and Lamar Jackson isn't seriously injured. Final game I'm going to be reacting to, we had the Green Bay Packers tying the Dallas Cowboys. Packers, What is going on? The first 2 weeks, they beat the Lions and the Commanders, two former playoff teams, and then they lose to Cleveland last week, and now they tie the Dallas Cowboys in Micah Parsons' revenge game. I mean, the Cowboys aren't going to the playoffs, so like I can confirm that to you right now. But the Packers, who I had at number 2 in power rankings, they're slipping further and further out of the top 10. Jordan Love had a really good performance in this one, 337 yards and 3 touchdowns. Josh Jacobs still really can't get that big run, but he's able to churn out 22 carries for 86 yards and 2 scores. He also was their leading receiver, 4 receptions for 71 yards. But this was the game of Romeo Dobbs. The hat trick, pulled out 6 catches for 58 yards and 3 touchdowns. 3 touchdowns. I had Matthew Golden in fantasy. You really couldn't give one of those to Matthew Golden, you selfish mug. But I mean, he got 3 scores in this one. Dallas. Dak Prescott, really good performance, 319 yards and 3 scores of his own. Javonte Williams continuing to be a positive addition. A team like the Denver Broncos could use a running back, so maybe he should go over there. But outside of Javonte Williams, there was no run game. Receiving, George Pickens had a couple of great grabs in this game. It went 8 for 134 yards and 2 scores. And then Jake Ferguson was able to corral in the other touchdown. Jordan Love was sacked one time, I believe, in this game. Yeah, by James Houston. And then Micah Parsons did get his revenge sack. I think both quarterbacks were only sacked one time. Yeah, Micah Parsons was pretty quiet outside of that sack, though. I'd have to go look at his quarterback pressures. But yeah, this game ended in a tie. Packers are still terrible. And yeah, Cowboys, maybe you guys can go all in and go get someone like Micah Parsons. Think it could help you guys. That's all I have for you guys today. If you guys enjoyed, make sure to leave a like and subscribe if you're new to the channel. Turn on post notifications. We're on the road to 8,000 subscribers. And other than that, it's been Zach. I'll see you all tomorrow. Peace.